I thought really he was going to start singing It's a Lovely Day in the Neighborhood. I'm waiting for that part of it. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for waking me up. I was sitting at a coffee shop the other day, and this girl who I know came over and she sat down and had coffee with me. And I told her about the September 10th, I was doing a kind of a broadcast because one of the women from the radio station was going to come in and interview me. So she was all excited because she liked spiritualism and mediumship and all that. So she said, I'm going to come. I said, thanks for the warning. They were sitting there and she said, you know, look at all the people coming in. They don't look too happy, do they? I said, no, they really don't. She said, I wonder what's going on. I said, well, you don't have to mention that because if you look at everything in the world today, we have all kinds of issues coming up. We have problems in even our own state, our own country, our own district, with kids. So everybody's feeling bad. Some people feel that they go to work one day and may not be there the next. Even executives, believe it or not, who are in high echelon positions, have worries about things. So instead of facing the fear in front of them, they need to really start reducing that. Now my very first book that I wrote was titled, and this was back in 1999, not 1899 by the way, but it's titled Positive Affirmation to Live By. And in the book I put down about how you can train the subconscious mind to be more positive in life. And that book, actually I was lucky, sold out very rapidly. And that was way back. Today, people ask me to write the book again because people are feeling down in the moccasins, so to speak. And they're confronting different things all the time, which is not healthy. It really isn't. You turn on the TV, and that's all you see is problems. In fact, it was very interesting. One of the largest networks on television had a psychologist there, and what she was saying is, don't watch TV. And I'm saying to myself, boy, that's pretty brave, huh? But she says, here's the problem. She says, when a person watches TV for a length of time, it gets into the subconscious mind. And before they leave the door the next day, it's still there. And right now, it's more negative than positive. And she's at a point. And even with the kids today, they're doing the same thing. That's why you're seeing so many kids. Kids are bringing weapons to school. I can't believe it. One of the girls that lives in my area, she has a house, she lives by herself. She has all kinds of cameras all around the house. And she has 5 weapons inside. I said to her, I said, I thought your name was so-and-so. I didn't know it was Annie Oakley. But it's getting pretty bad. She says, I don't really come outside till 3 o'clock in the morning to take the dog out. I said, honey, give the dog the weapon and let them come out themselves. Because things are pretty bad all over the place. So how do we change that? We need to change our subconscious mind, really, to believe in the positive nature of life. The positive nature of life. Now God, the Infinite Spirit, as we call him spiritualism, was a very positive and still is a very positive, caring, loving God. Now science today are trying to disprove that. They're trying to come out and say, well, we're not too sure if there's a God or not. That's the scientific world. But I know, like everyone here, we all believe in a God. And this God created a wonderful world and universe. If you get a chance to look at the stars at night, and their positioning and everything else, it had to be somebody with a positive energy to do all that for us. So we need to look at, instead of looking at the the negative things in life. We need to get out and enjoy the positive things, like nature. Now, I'm not really a nature bug, but lately, I'm starting to enjoy it. I'm starting to enjoy it because it's different, it's nice. And we need to do that more often. Because like I said, once the subconscious mind pulls all this stuff in, it's there. And when you're talking to somebody, you can tell that they're not positive at all. They're more negative. So that woman who was sitting beside me at that time was right. Because you can tell from people what they're like and what they're going through. But we can change it, and we need to change it. We need to look at the brighter part of life. It was kind of interesting. I was telling a message with that I was at an eating place, and this waitress comes over to me, and she says to me, "We're getting married." I says, "That's news to me. I didn't even ask you." And she said, "No, not you, John. No." I said, "Thank God for that. My boyfriend and I are going to get married. You're going to do the wedding." And I said, "That's fine. I'm glad to clarify that for me." But a lot of people don't have that personality anymore. And they're really down on a lot of things. And it's too bad. And it's reflecting on the youth an awful lot. Again, when you look at TV, and I have children from marriage, and when you see, and they're not kids anymore. Actually, I saw my two boys 2 months ago, and they're 6 foot. I said, I need a stepladder to talk to them across. I said, the oldest one's 55. I said, I don't know how you did that. I'm only 30. But we need to change our subconscious mind by doing things that's good for us, because you can pass that on to others. You can pass that on to others. And how do you do that? You start thinking more positive about yourself. When you get up in the morning, you start thinking good about who you are, what you're going to do. Doesn't matter if you're working or you're out planting a garden. Just think it's going to be a great day. That's what you need to start doing. And that's very important now, because people won't do that. They don't do it. When I go to the same restaurant, I'm always up at this restaurant. It seems to be my new home, for God's sakes. But I'll be sitting there, and the waitresses come over to me and tell me their problems. And I say, look, I don't have a copy of I only have one book left, but what I'll do is I'll give you some excerpts to it. So I give them excerpts the next time I'm up there. And one woman said, one girl said, you gave me so many excerpts, I got a wallpaper all over the place. I said, you're not supposed to wallpaper the place, you're supposed to read them and study them a little bit, you know. But, and then you see people walking around with a fence around them. It's an imaginary fence. But what happens is they feel safe within the confines of that fence. If they open the door and walk out even a foot, fear sets in. Fear sets in. We don't want that. We don't need that. Again, we believe in God, the infinite spirit, and God is part of us and we're part of God. We should really start thinking more of being positive and doing things in a positive issue in life. I tell my students a lot, when you have problems, sit down and write yourself a letter. You don't have to show anybody it. Tear it up and throw it away. But what you're doing is expressing yourself outward. You don't hold it in. You know, the kids today, it's kind of funny. They figure the parents don't know anything. So you don't tell them to do anything, you just suggest something. So don't try to force them, because they won't buy it. We can enjoy life and live it to the fullest. But we have to start with ourselves. We really do. And I know we were talking about this earlier, but I meet a lot of people who have all kinds of problems. I feel like a psychologist more than a minister. And I don't mind that, because that's what I'm here for, to help people out. But I feel bad for them, I try to help them, and I'm only hoping that they will work on themselves and go forward. And some do, others won't. But all you can do is to try to make the best out of it. The Spirit Guide is with us all the time. I think mine came in by parachute, but it's still here. I have a Spirit Guide and an angel. Don't ask me how I got the angel, but I got an angel. I remember being in a Catholic church. They would say, if you're good little boys and girls, someday you have an angel. And I said, that left me out. But I have one. So we all have a Spirit Guide that came in with us, who was right beside us all the time. Now some mediums will say that they will not bother you. They're close to you, you have to ask. And I say, no. They know before we do what we have to do. So we have to listen and pay attention to what they're telling us. By the way, it's not intuition, because I don't think anything under natural law is called intuition. It's spirit intervention. So if you get some feelings that you need to do something, that's your Spirit Guide helping you out. And I'll leave you with that because it's very important. It's extremely important right now. I won't give you a test, but you have to remember that. And I thank you.